Well, the Indiana Hoosiers are 10-0. Get used to hearing that. They beat Michigan. Ohio State with a blowout. Penn State's whiteout getting ready to kick off. And Oregon looks to remain perfect to stay with Indiana. Locked On Big Ten Live starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten Live on a Saturday night going into a Sunday morning. I'm Craig Shemon, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's special live episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com and get started. So we recap this Michigan-Indiana game. Every Big Ten game and team, we'll cover it. This next 25 to 30 minutes. Always looking for your live comments here as we go live here tonight. Plus, we'll have the nation's first look ahead to week 12 coming up. So Indiana, they blow people out. They score 30, 40, 50 points a game. They don't have close games. Tonight was different. It was a close game. It was a big moment. You could tell they felt the big moment. Michigan wasn't what Michigan used to be, but they came in here ready to play into Bloomington, Indiana on this Saturday night. They had a nice opening 14-play drive, but quarterback Davis Warren, he lost the grip on the ball going back to throw. It ended up being an 18-yard loss, and they had to settle for a 39-yard field goal to take a 3-0 lead. So that play there probably cost them about 4 points. It looked like they were going to go in and score. Indiana then answered with a 7-play, 75-yard drive of their own, capped by Curtis Rourke to Omar Cooper on a 7-yard touchdown to take a 7-0 lead, and that's how we ended the first quarter. Indiana struck again. Another 7-play drive, this one 65 yards. Curtis Rourke on a play that he knew he was going to get hit, just heaved the ball up into the air, had Elijah Surratt down the left side, and he just waited for it to come down and grabbed a 36-yard touchdown. Indiana up 14-3, looking like they were starting to take control of this football game. At this point, Davis Warren, he was missing open receivers more than once. And then there was an interesting play call, I thought, with 7:04 to go in the half. Indiana went for it on 4th and 12 from the Michigan 33-yard line. It would have been a 50-yard field goal. They're not really comfortable. Nicholas Radicic had not made one longer than 37 yards. So, and it was too short to punt, too far for a field goal. And then they threw an incomplete pass. Michigan looked like maybe they could grab some momentum here. But then Alex Orji came in, and he fumbled the ball, and Indiana got the ball right back. Indiana then turned that into a 40-yard field goal to take a 17-3 lead, 2:20 to go in the half. At this point, Michigan had run 31 plays for only 91 yards in the half. The Indiana defense was great, but if you watch this game live, you know this script flipped big time because Indiana got zero offensive performance in the second half and offensive production in the second half. Michigan got the ball first in the second half, but they punted down to the 4-yard line. Indiana comes out, first play from scrimmage, second half, a huge mistake, a game-turning mistake. Curtis Rourke threw a rare interception from his end zone. IU going into the game was +10 in the turnover battle. And Rourke had only thrown 3 interceptions all season long. Zeke Berry for Michigan, it was his second pick of the year. And now all of a sudden, Michigan is first and goal at the IU 7-yard line. But Indiana stopped them. 3-0. Got to 4th and goal from the 3. I thought for sure Michigan was going to run a play and do a running play from 4th and goal from the 3. They settled for a field goal, a 22-yard field goal. I thought, wow, do they not have any confidence against the Indiana defensive line? It turned out maybe that with these points later on in the game, they were glad they had them. It turned out to be a close game. Maybe it wasn't such a horrible decision 2020 hindsight later on, but at the time I was stunned, absolutely stunned. So 8:43 to go. They settled for this field goal. Indiana's up 17-6. Indiana's next possession, they punt. Remember, their first possession, they throw an interception on their first play from their own end zone. Second possession, they punt. Nothing going for the Hoosiers on offense. Now Michigan's building some momentum here in this game, and they put a 12-play drive, but they only got 44 yards. It was a 12-play drive, but only 44 yards. Again, Indiana's defense, not bad, and it forces Michigan to kick a 56-yard field goal. Now, Dominic Zvada, he can do that. That's his range. He's a very good kicker. But Indiana, I guess you go bend but don't break at that point. They're lucky to only give up a field goal. It is now the third field goal of the game. Michigan still hasn't cracked the end zone. Indiana hanging on to a 17-9 lead in the final seconds of the third quarter. At this point, Indiana is flat-footed as can be. They need a spark, any side of the ball, anything. And nothing was going right. They go backward 3 straight plays. They end up punting from their own end zone. At this point in the second half, going into the fourth quarter, Indiana has -2 yards. And on top of that, their punt was horrible. It was a 26-yard punt from the end zone. Michigan starting on the 34-yard line. So, in fact, the punt wasn't even far enough to get to the first down markers, as they pointed out on the CBS broadcast. Just another bad drive for Indiana. So Michigan takes over, and it becomes the Donovan Edwards show. 8-yard run, 3-yard run. There was the Colston Loveland catch, but there was the flag, the Indiana hands to the face, half the distance to the goal. And now first and goal from the Indiana 9-yard line. More Donovan Edwards, and a third and goal. Khalil Mullings to the 1. He bobbled it, but he kept possession of it at that point. And Khalil Mullings then dived in for the touchdown from 1 yard out to bring Michigan within 2. 17-15, 9:35 to go in the game. And they go for 2, the 2-point conversion to try and tie it. Incomplete pass in the back of the end zone. So at this point, the game was starting to remind me, if you watch Michigan football, kind of was reminding me of the USC game, where USC was up, Michigan didn't do much right, almost no production in the second half, but then they got some momentum. Anyway, kind of reminded me, not totally, but a little bit there. Indiana gets the ball now. They had a 3rd and 8, another 3rd and long situation. They do get the first down there, but then on the next 2 plays later, Elijah Sarrett, the best receiver for Indiana, had a ball go right through his hands on a perfect pass on the right sideline. Then it was 3rd and 11. Curtis Work gets sacked. They punt to Michigan at the 27-yard line. 7:09 to go. We got a 2-point game, 7 minutes to go. Michigan with the ball. Michigan at this point, Indiana's defense, they toughened up. They stopped them. 3 and out and a punt. This was the play of the game. There was a punt return by Keyshawn Williams, 22 yards, right to the Michigan 39-yard line. We got 5:20 to go. Bit of a backbreaker, at least as far as momentum goes. The game wasn't over by any stretch of the imagination. Indiana had to settle for a field goal here because Michigan stopped them from advancing. It was a 41-yard field goal by Radicic to make it 20-15, 2:34 to go. Michigan would get the ball back. But now because of that field goal, they need a touchdown instead of a field goal. So that was a big series there for Indiana. There was the Peyton O'Leary catch right off the ground. And but ultimately, Michigan got stopped a yard short on 4th down, but it still wasn't over yet. Indiana takes over on downs with 1:35 to go, but Michigan's got 3 timeouts left. They make a couple stops, call some timeouts. They probably will get another chance. But IU got 8 yards on 1st down, 2nd and 2. And then what did Michigan do right there? They wasted 25 seconds before they finally called a timeout. They were giving a gift to Indiana. Down to 57 seconds to go. Indiana's able to call it a wrap at that point. They get another 1st down when Rourke takes the naked bootleg to the left side. 20-15. Indiana wins 10-0. Now, Indiana's got a bye week before they play at Ohio State with everything on the line. Fantastic effort there. I want to get to see your comments, both from Michigan fans and Indiana fans, in just a few moments. There were some other day games earlier in the Big Ten today. I want to get Ohio State I don't know if you watched my Pigskin Picks on our Friday podcast. If you go back, I said Purdue probably is not going to score in this game. They didn't. Purdue got shut out by Ohio State at Ohio State, 45-0. So, and they covered. Meanwhile, Ohio State quarterback Will Howard threw for 3 touchdown passes, ran for another. Freshman sensation wide receiver Jeremiah Smith broke the Buckeyes freshman receiving record, his 9th touchdown of the season. Chris Carter owned that record way back in 1984. Travion Henderson, they got the running game going a little bit in the second half, rushed for 85 yards and a touchdown, caught 3 passes for 43 yards. Lathan Ransom also had an interception for the Buckeyes. Meanwhile, the Boilermakers, they've lost 8 straight, and this is their longest skid since 2013. Purdue still has Penn State and Indiana on the schedule. Ouch. Also earlier today, Minnesota and Rutgers played at Rutgers. Both of these teams were streaking. Minnesota had won 4 straight. Rutgers had lost 4 straight. So the streak ended for both teams because Rutgers got the win 26-19. Rutgers quarterback Ethan Kaliak-Manis, who transferred out of Minnesota this offseason, threw for 240 yards, 3 touchdowns and a pick. 2 of the touchdown passes went to Demir Miller. And for the Gophers, Max Brosmer threw 45 times in this game, completed 27 for 262 yards. Just 1 touchdown pass, though. And Rutgers held Minnesota running back Darius Taylor to just 28 yards and 10 carries. Not many teams have done that. And Rutgers defense, which had struggled during this losing streak, they got a safety by sacking Max Brosmer in the end zone. Jordan Walker got that. One bright spot for Minnesota. Ethan Robinson had an interception for the Gophers. They now have 16 interceptions this year. Remarkable secondary for the Gophers, even in a loss. All right, if you're new to us, and maybe you are because we're live here on Saturday night going into a Sunday morning, we always ask if you could subscribe and be aware that we're here every day, Monday through Friday, podcast, Big Ten, everything you need to know about Big Ten with stories, facts, and opinion and commentary here every week. We have it. So go ahead and subscribe if you don't mind. It's free. It's always free. Subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten. And that way, as soon as this podcast is available for you each and every day, you'll be on top of it. Also, if you see on the bottom, we got a crawl here. TalkBig10.com is our website. All of our podcasts go there chronologically. You can go back this week and check out some podcasts on your favorite teams. We also group them by your favorite teams, so they're easy to find. And we also have a link there at TalkBig10.com for merchandise from your favorite school. You want to get an Indiana shirt or a Michigan pennant or a hat from Ohio State? It's right there. Christmas shopping. It's getting to be time. Think about it. TalkBig10.com. All right. The Bruins are on a roll. They played last night. And we got 2 night games tonight. Oregon looks to remain perfect. Penn State with the whiteout. All that is coming up as we continue here with our live edition of Locked On Big Ten. We'll continue in just a minute. All right, here we are on Locked On Big Ten Live. I want to tell you about LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs, they're a great thing to have here if you run an office or own a small business and you need to replace personnel. LinkedIn Jobs is the place to go. It's not just like a job board. It helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even those that aren't actively searching for a new job might be open to a perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't even visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. I want to thank you for checking out Locked On Big Ten, and thanks for making us your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget our website, talkbig10.com. Friday Night Lights in the Big Ten. Congratulations to UCLA on Friday night. And at the Rose Bowl, they beat Iowa, did a great job handling the running game on both sides of the ball. UCLA, which really struggled to begin this year, they've won 3 in a row. And the running game was the key here. And, you know, the Bruins head coach, Deshaun Foster, is a former NFL running back. So, and a former UCLA running back, and he had his team prepared for this game that was focused on the run. First of all, their own running back, TJ Harden, got his first 100-yard game of the season, 20 carries, 125 yards. Ethan Garbers threw 2 touchdown passes for the Bruins in the 2017 win over the Hawkeyes. And even more importantly and more impressively, I think, they held Iowa's stellar running back Caleb Johnson, who we talk about all the time on this podcast, to a season-low 49 yards. Adding to the defensive effort was Carson Swessinger, who had 2 interceptions on the day. A couple of bright spots for the Hawkeyes. They threw for 185 yards. They barely ever throw for more than 100. They got 185 today. Jacob Gill, a wide receiver, they hardly ever have big offensive numbers for wide receivers, had 6 catches for 138 yards. Quinn Schulte and Zach Lutmer had interceptions for the Hawkeyes. So those from Friday night. Now, speaking of nighttime games, starting right now as we are here live Saturday night going into Sunday morning, we got Maryland. We got 2 Big Ten games. Maryland is at number 1 Oregon. Oregon 9-0, 6-0. Trying to keep pace with the Indiana Hoosiers now on top of the Big Ten standings. Mike Loxley's Terps are going to have their hands full with this game going across the country and trying to survive in this game. They're coming off a loss to previously Red Hot Minnesota. And their previous game before that, they had a nice win over USC. I'm curious to see if Billy Edwards Jr. can get something going. They do have weapons in Caden Prather and Ty Felton and Roman Hemby. As far as the Ducks, they're clicking on all cylinders right now as the number 1 team in the country. I would be most interested to see how the Ducks start out offensively with chemistry without their all-everything wide receiver, Tez Johnson, who injured his shoulder in the Michigan game. The good news is it's not going to require surgery. They're hoping to get him back before the end of the season, maybe the Big Ten championship game-ish, somewhere around there. More good news for the Ducks. They're pretty deep at wide receiver. I mean, they got Evan Stewart and Rashawn Holden, Justice Lowe. I think they'll be in good shape for this game here tonight. And then the other game tonight, we got Washington at Penn State. This is the whiteout game. And, Penn State needs a little bit of a boost. I think some people are down after their loss to Ohio State last week. And, they really wanted that badly. By the way, they also wanted last week's game to be the whiteout game against Ohio State, give them a little bit of a home field advantage. But that was the big noon game on Fox. So it falls to this primetime game here tonight at down there at Penn State. And as far as this game goes, Drew Aller, another week removed from the knee injury, seems to be a lot better, good to go the rest of the way. They need to use Ty Warren a lot more than they used him against Ohio State. They're all-everything secret weapon tight end who can throw, who can catch, who can run. And especially in red zone goal-to-go situations. James Franklin was criticized this week for not having used him more in those situations against Ohio State. As for the Huskies, this is a good football team. And they got a really good running back in Jonah Coleman. But Washington's biggest problem is they can't win on the road. So we'll see. And I'm not a big fan of 2 quarterback systems. But behind starter Will Rogers, they have Damon Williams, pretty athletic guy. They bring him in, a little change of pace. I actually think they should bring him in a little more. We'll see if they do that here tonight. Huskies are coming off a road loss to Indiana, and they'll have their season finale against number 1 Oregon later on. I want to check out some live comments here, a lot of them on the board, and see what you guys think about some stuff going on here. Corey said that Indiana showed some grit. They really did. I think the moment got to Indiana a little bit. This is the first time they've been challenged all season long, and they survived it. Now they're 10-0. Jay Davis says, wow. Also, Corey says Michigan made them play their game, but Indiana came through. I would agree with that a lot. Stray Golden checked in. Hey, Craig, so surprised that the Wolverines played the way they did. Don White checking in with a 10-0 Hoosiers. That's right. Let's see. We got Matt Crody that says, phew. Give it to Michigan, though. They were playing tough. Yes, they were. Ken Thomas seems to be taking joy in the fact that Michigan is just a 500 team at 5-5 now. Tim checking in. Hey, as a diehard Michigan fan, I must say that game was way better than I thought it would be. Hats off to Indiana. I'll be rooting for Indiana versus Oregon in the Big Ten championship. We'll see. Hoosiers got to get past Ohio State, too. Jay says that was our wake-up call for the Hoosiers. It was. Again, it was the first time they've been under pressure like that all season long. Donnie Wright, Holy Hurricane, Indiana by 5. Dogs lose to Ole Miss. Hurricanes lost. It says, can Oregon take it all? Absolutely, Donnie. Oregon's been in this mix for not just a Big Ten championship, but a national championship since this summer. We've been talking about it all the time here. Totally think they're very legit. Williams says, great win for Indiana. And Jay says, I guess we should take this game as a good one to get ready for Ohio State. I'm sure they'll have plenty to learn from this game. That is true. And Jay says, or Stray Golden says, we're going to welcome Washington to the Big Ten with a whiteout in Happy Valley. Should be a great game. Absolutely. Absolutely with that. Great win for Indiana from William. And big test for Indiana this week. And they pass from Raymond Power. And Argros says, can't wait to not watch the whiteout thanks to being on Peacock. It's behind a paywall tonight. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go check it out. I have it. I'm going to watch it. So let's enjoy it together if we have Peacock. All right. Thank you for all the comments. I appreciate that. We're not done by any stretch. We have a lot to do here. And as is tradition here, our first in the nation look ahead to next week, week 12. We'll have that right here as we continue on a live edition of Locked On Big Ten. Robinhood. I'm going to tell you about Robinhood Gold. You don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and the perks usually reserved for the high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5 APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. And FanDuel. FanDuel makes exciting games even more fun. Tackle the rest of the NFL season and NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can get $5 and $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you have a hunch in the middle of a game, want to see some stats or some scores, they're right there on the same page that you place your bets. So visit FanDuel.com and join today. You can start with over $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. By the way, Sunday Night Football, I like the Lions and -3.5 at Houston. And I like the over at 48.5. Check it out. FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, as we roll on our live edition of Locked On Big Ten, let's take a look at week 12 coming up. It starts on Friday night. Seems like an old Pac-12 after dark game. UCLA, winners of 3 in a row, taking on Washington. We'll come off this Penn State game, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific on Fox. That's Friday night. Saturday, #1 Oregon at Wisconsin, going to Camp Randall. Should be a great atmosphere. And we'll see if Oregon can keep things rolling. Ohio State is going to take on Northwestern. This is their homecoming game. It's at Wrigley Field. They moved out of that on-campus stadium. They'll need a bigger location, obviously, because their stadium is being built, and they need to play at Wrigley Field for this one for Ohio State. Interesting thing here. Indiana, 10-0 Indiana. The next game is at Ohio State. They got a bye week this week. Indiana does, to get ready for that game. Meanwhile, Ohio State is coming off of a Purdue blowout and a Northwestern game they should blow out. Easier competition, and then maybe Indiana comes in there. But it's at Columbus. It's going to be a great one 2 weeks from now. I guess that's our first preview of week 13. The rest of week 12, Michigan State is at Illinois. We got Rutgers at Maryland. Hey, at least these teams won't have to fly across the country anymore like they have in recent weeks. They're pretty close to each other, Rutgers and Maryland. Nebraska. Coming off a bye, coming off a slump. Still three losses in a row. They're stuck on 5 wins. They want to become bowl eligible for the first time since 2016. They got to go to Southern Cal, take out the Trojans. So that's the schedule for next week. As I mentioned, Indiana's on a bye. Michigan is on a bye. Minnesota and Iowa are on buys as well. So that'll do it. That is our live edition. Let me take another peek at a couple more comments that have come in here since our last break. Let's see here. The SEC loves messing each other up so much. It's funny. That's from Jay Golden. Georgia. Crazy game today. Crazy day. November football. Let's see. Another one, good one for Indiana. A lot of good Indiana stuff on here. And Tim's Tank says Georgia and Miami lost. Indiana will move up at least 2 spots. Yeah, actually, I think they will. Unless somebody holds it against them that, hey, they had a close game for the first time. You never know. Those will be coming out on Tuesday. Of course, we'll be all over it on Wednesday on our podcast. Austin says, do they put us higher to make the Ohio State game more interesting? Well, that's going to be interesting enough by itself. Yeah, I think Indiana will move up a spot or 2 with the losses ahead of them in the rankings. Absolutely. And Tim also saying Indiana, one of 4 undefeated teams in the country. Indiana, Oregon, both in the Big Ten. BYU and Army, I think, are the other ones, right? Corey thinks Indiana will move up to number 5. That would be up 3 spaces from their current number 8. Yeah, could be as well. I'll eagerly await that, and we'll be all over here on Locked On Big Ten. That'll do it for our live broadcast for the weekend. Thanks for checking us out. Again, if you are new, we do this every weekday, not the live part, but you can check us out. Many ways to interact with us at Twitter or X or Talk Big Ten. Comments on YouTube are always welcome. And also don't forget our website, which I'll put here on the bottom again, talkbig10.com, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts, and you can get your favorite school merchandise there all in one place. Be sure to subscribe before you leave us here tonight, and tell a friend about us if you don't mind. I know you have some Big Ten friends. Let them know we're out here every day. And you can follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for joining us here live. Talk to you again on Monday morning for Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Shemon. We'll talk to you next time.